I wanted to talk about the SAVE Act, the Save America Act, how voting is going to be changing if they do pass it. This is going to take a lot to pass, but it seems like the Republicans and President Trump is very, very, very strong on this, and they are going to do whatever it takes to try to get this thing passed. So let's tune into the video, see what's going on here with the SAVE Act.
President
Save
Trump
America
vowed this
Act.
week not to sign any bills into law until a sweeping
Please
new
let me know
voting
y'all
bill
thoughts
is
about
passed.
this also.
Our White House correspondent Liz Landers takes a closer look at its prospects.
Early Sunday morning, hours after returning from Delaware, where he took part in the solemn observance of the return of remains of 6 U.S. soldiers killed, President Trump posted about the Save America Act. Quote, "It supersedes everything else," he wrote, and, quote, "must go to the front of the line. I, as president, will not sign other bills until this is passed."
And perhaps most importantly, I'm asking you to approve the Save America Act.
If passed, the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility, or Save America Act, would transform voting in this country in 2 major ways. It would require all Americans to prove U.S. citizenship when registering to vote, and it would require all voters to show an ID when voting in person or by mail.
So please let me know in the chat if y'all agree with this, if y'all feel any type of way about it. If y'all don't like it, let me know why y'all don't like it. Thank you for the subscription. I appreciate you. Shari, hopefully I said that. But let me know y'all thoughts, man, because a lot of people are saying this is not as bad as it looks, sounds. And then there's some people that are saying this is absolutely the worst thing that we have seen, and this is the worst thing that's coming to us.
Voters
So let me know
submitting
y'all
absentee
thoughts.
mail ballots would have to provide a photocopy of their
I will
ID.
give you my thoughts.
The bill would
shortly.
also require states to frequently review voter rolls and remove any non-citizens. And it would mandate states share voter registration data with the federal government, which most states have refused to do, a move backed by several federal judges.
We don't want people that aren't citizens of our country voting. We don't want people that aren't studied, and we don't want people that can't love our country voting in our elections. So it's very simple.
But it's not that simple. By any definition, the number of ballots cast illegally and by non-citizens in American elections is incredibly small.
We know our elections are more secure than ever. We know we have more protections and checks and balances against fraud than ever. And we also know that this administration has gone out hunting for fraud with all of the tools of the federal government over the last year, and they have found virtually none.
A study by the Trump administration's Department of Homeland Security found that of the 49.5 million voter registrations that were checked for the 2024 election, about 10,000 cases were referred for additional investigation of non-citizenship. That's roughly 0.02% of names processed. In Georgia, a 2024 audit of its 8.2 million registered voters found only 20 non-citizens who had registered.
If you're a non-citizen and you sign under penalty of perjury that you are a citizen and you're eligible to vote, you're committing a felony which could render you not only deportable, but also get you jail time. And for what? To have one vote. So it's really not the way that elections are stolen.
It's really not worth it. Like, if I'm an illegal and I'm trying to vote in another country, or if I'm just visiting and it happens to be election season, and I can get a possible felony and not be allowed to come back into that country, like, it's kind of not worth it to do that. So I don't know why they're pressing this issue so much as if it's happening. I mean, it possibly could be happening like they're saying, but for the amount to where it affects in a whole election, that's the part that I'm like,
And Americans are
Is it
not
really
overly
doing that?
concerned about the chances of voter fraud.
is it really?
In our new PBS News NPR Marist poll out today, 66% of Americans are confident their state or local governments will run fair elections in November, which is down from 76% in October 2024. 33% of adults believe the biggest threat to safe and secure elections is voter fraud. Republicans are much more concerned about this than Democrats.
You need an ID to go and purchase alcohol. You need an ID to go to the library and check out a book. And so the president thinks you should have an ID to vote in our nation's elections.
But requiring ID documents like passports and birth certificates could disenfranchise millions of people.
If you're poor, you're moving a lot, you're, say, a student who's gone away to college, you've changed your name because you've gotten married or for some other reasons, all of those people would have more difficulty obtaining these documents.
About half of Americans don't have passports, and many do not have a copy of their birth certificate. The Brennan Center for Justice estimates that more than 21 million Americans lack ready access to those documents.
If you don't have a passport, that's an issue. I understand if you don't have your birth certificate because that could have got lost. You know, you're probably like 50 years old. Your parents probably lost it. I understand that. You can, easily get that online. Just type in your local government office for birth certificates. They should be able to mail that to you with a little bit of fee. Hopefully you can pay the fee. I understand that part, but they got a good point here. They should make it a way so they can figure out that these people are citizens or they are, eligible to vote without having to spend extra money to get that proof. Because there's plenty of ways to confirm passport, like you said, birth certificate. They should be able to find the records in their system somehow, in the government system. So they should be able to make it so it's not going to be a pain and a hassle to go buy a $100 50 passport. But at the same time, you should have your passport. Like, there's really no excuse. I'll be honest with you. Unless you're like, you really can't afford it, like you're out of luck, you don't travel. Maybe that's probably why you don't have a passport. But like, bro, I know babies that got passports. You gotta have a passport.
And voting rights advocates say the Save America Act requirements could disproportionately affect older Americans and low-income voters. Another concern, newly married voters. A 2023 Pew survey found that more than 80% of women and 5% of men change or hyphenate their names after marriage, meaning their passport, birth certificate, and other documents may not align, requiring additional paperwork to register to vote.
I don't think there's anyone that wants ineligible voters to participate in our democracy. Full stop. But what we do want to make sure is everyone who is eligible doesn't have obstacles that they have to overcome in order to participate.
When it comes to federal oversight of elections, President Trump's outside allies are also pressuring him to declare a national emergency around elections. We asked the president about this recently.
Are you considering a national emergency around the midterm elections?
We told you that.
There's been reporting that there's an executive order, proposed executive order about this. Are you looking at that? Are you considering that?
The president has also said he regrets not using the National Guard in 2020 to seize election equipment. Our poll asked Americans how they feel about the National Guard around voting sites. A slim majority of Americans oppose National Guard's members around polling locations, but 46% support this idea. Democrats and independents overwhelmingly oppose the idea, but 73% of Republicans are in favor of having the National Guard monitor voting locations. Are you surprised?
I understand, like, they're not doing much, but why do you need National Guard at the voting? Like, we already got police there. Why do we need now the National Guard at voting places? Like, that don't make sense, bro. Y'all just making them do stuff for no reason at this point.
Is that 46% of Americans do support the idea of having National Guards people outside of voting locations.
Let me know y'all thoughts.
I was surprised at that. Look, it is illegal. It is against federal law for troops or armed men, that's the term in the statute, to appear at any voting location. That is 18 U.S.C. 592. And hopefully the American people understand it. It is part of our culture that we vote in a safe and secure environment.
Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
The Senate is poised to take up the bill next week, where it is expected to fail. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Liz Landers.
So this could be possibly coming
Support
to America. Could be possibly coming to our local government if it gets passed in the Senate and Congress, obviously. Let me know y'all thoughts about this down in the comments below, man. I'd really like to know y'all thoughts.